What's going on, folks? We are live and in effect. We are in the building. My name is JV Wins. That, of course, is Dogon SS. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. We certainly appreciate the support. Thanks to all of the new subscribers who have joined us along this crazy journey. And thanks in advance to any of the new subs who happen to catch wind of what we like to do here on our little corner of the YouTube, Google, internet. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you have not already done so, if you like the commentary in this or in any of the other videos that we publish to this channel, this is a labor of love, folks. We just like kicking the tires and lighting the fires.
You know what I'm saying?
As Jimmy used to say in Independence Day, that's a reference to any late 80s babies who may be familiar with that line from that movie. But I digress, yo. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video. Got a few interesting topics to talk about tonight. Interested to hear the community's thoughts on this, as well as Dogon's thoughts on these various topics, of course. First, we are going to get started talking about everyone's favorite adult film star reformed, Mia Khalifa.
I don't know who that is.
She spent a decent amount of time back in the mid 2000s, somewhere around there, being like the most searched personality in adult content. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not really sure what her appeal was, but she was just trending that much that she became a talking point, not just in that area, if you follow that kind of stuff, but also like in the mainstream as well. So she gets talked about a lot because she was doing that stuff, and then she realized she was degrading herself. She got out of it. She got out of it. She complained about the industry, how she was taken advantage of, how she didn't really make that much money despite the limited amount of films, if that's the word you want to use, she was in. And then she called herself trying to be a sports media person.
I remember that.
Yeah. She tried to start her sports podcasting career. And of course, when you come from that walk of life, you kind of live in infamy and people don't let you live it down. And so I would say she has spent the vast majority of her post-adult film career trying to reform her image and get people to forget about the fact that she used to do this stuff and to think of her now as this internet social media relationship. She tries to be a relationship advice person. Like I said, she tries to talk sports, and she wants to be looked upon in that light. So that's kind of the brief history of this female. And she recently, like last year, she went viral because she made comments about how joining the army is worse than being on OnlyFans, because when you join the army, you're selling your body to the government. Whereas when you're on OnlyFans, you might think of it in a funny kind of way, but at least in OnlyFans, you have your own agency. Whereas with the army, it's actually worse because you are selling your body to the government. This is what she said. And at the time she got castigated for it, she went away, as she usually does. From time to time, she'll say weird things, get called out, then she'll disappear. Then she'll sort of rise from the ashes like the phoenix to say the next dumb thing. And so a lot of people, and so for whatever reason, this content is resurfacing and going viral again for whatever reason. And so it's gotten a lot of people talking about this and wanting her to get quote unquote canceled for these comments. But we'll go ahead and show you what she said first, and then we'll give our 2 cents on this. So this article says Mia Khalifa's army comments resurface amid cancel calls. Mia Khalifa has stirred up debate on social media after reposting her. Also, based upon what this article is saying, she reposted this. So that's the reason why it's resurfacing, because she herself reposted this based upon the way that this article is written. So it says Mia Khalifa has stirred up debate on social media after reposting her year-old comments in which she said that being in the army is worse than OnlyFans. The content sharing platform allows creators to upload any kind of content like photography, creative writing, or recipes, but is also used by sex workers to produce adult films.
Oh,
Former adult film star Khalifa spoke about the platform during an appearance on late night talk show Ziwi. Someone, correct me on that pronunciation. I'm probably getting that wrong. Ziwi back in July 2022 when she said that she thought that using it was better than selling your body to the government by serving in the military. So we have OnlyFans, and then we have the sex work industry, and then we have like actors, said titular host Ziwi Fumudo. Is there a difference between these industries, or are we all fundamentally selling our bodies in some way? Honestly, I think that selling your body, like if we are going by that definition, being in the army is worse than being on OnlyFans. Khalifa responded, "You're selling your body to the government." More than a year after her comments went viral, Khalifa brought the conversation back to the fore when she shared a TikTok post on X, formerly Twitter, on Veterans Day, which fell on Saturday. The clip
wow.
showed Khalifa making her statement before it cut to a shot of a major sitting in a vehicle looking perturbed. So I'll go ahead and end the share of this, and then we will go ahead and play what she said. But of course, first I'm going to, go directly to Twitter because, as previous experience has taught us,
Right.
screen sharing with Twitter embedded videos just doesn't seem to be the best way for us to go about sharing videos that are posted to Twitter. So and this is a very short video, mind you. So, it's not very long, but this was the video, this was the clip that went viral on social, which of course began with what she had to say about OnlyFans and serving in the military.
Being in the army is worse than being on OnlyFans. Wow. You're selling your body to the government.
He looked like Consequence.
Being in the army is worse than being on OnlyFans. Wow. You're selling your body to the government.
Yep. And I just wanted to play it one more time because it is very fast.
Yeah.
And she's, of course, not famous enough or important enough for there to be ample clips of the interview in long form available on the internet. Although I'm pretty sure if you could search for it long enough, you'll find it. But this is what she had to say. And this chick is like unapologetically who she is, very much Brittany Renner like, in that she just doesn't seem to care, or she feels as though it's redeeming to be so proudly sort of enveloped in this. You get cool points because she's not going to back down off of her rhetoric, even though a lot of people seem to disagree with it. But yeah, it brings in a whole, can of worms with the military and the government and the equation of that with being on OnlyFans. So this woman here, Mia Khalifa, believes being on OnlyFans is better than being in the government because you're selling your body, than being in the army or the military, because she believes it means you are selling your body to the government. Do you think she has a point?
That's a tough question to ask. I don't know what to make of her argument there. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't tell anybody. I mean, I know we need defense, and kudos to all of my veterans out there. But me personally, um, that's just like another version of going to jail. Oh, there you go, cancel this guy. I'm just saying, it's just you're selling yourself to the state. So it's just a thing where it's to me it's a little dicey. I wouldn't recommend it. So with that being said, I would argue for different lifestyles. That it's better off for some people, a lot of people, if they look at the military the same way that I do. And so my point, the thing about this that's weird is, I mean, I didn't see that interview. Maybe they were talking about it. I mean, hell, it's pulled hella out of context. It's only like 3 seconds long, but a lot of this seems unprovoked. I don't know. This seems to be a thought process in her mind that she is really on. And she feels as though that, yeah, just doing what she does is better than being in the military. So why she feel compelled to bring that up? Why make that analogy? I don't know. But it feels a little Brittany Renner-ish, like you said. I agree with that point where that's her shtick, where she gets off with doubling down apparently and just being a badass. I don't give a damn. I'll say whatever. You can't cancel me. Um, so yeah, with that kind of energy, and mind you, man, she was an adult star, and so being in an adult industry like that, and being a performer, it's kind of wild. The thought process, I would argue, for many of those people. Now I'm being lenient now, but many of those people in that industry, I would argue, have a very unique perspective on the rest of the world. So Mia Khalifa, no different here. I just find it wild for her to poke at vets. But it might be something where it comes to like some type of allegiance of countries type of stuff, because I do know she has opinions about what's going on in the Middle East. So it might be a thing where she doesn't even have allegiance to the United States in the first place. It might be just a F America thing, but she's in America effing, you know what I'm saying? And so it might be one of those things where she just already has a chip on her shoulder with the military. That's the only reason why I can think is she could bring it up, so often, and trying to drill that in people's heads. Because honestly, I don't think anybody was trying to equate those two outside of her. So, what are your thoughts about Mia Khalifa and her doubling down, apparently, saying that it's better to be an OnlyFans starter than to be a military gunner?
Um, I don't really think serving in the military is the worst thing in the world. It depends on how you think about it. Um, if you're thinking about it in terms of a career path and not because you love America and want to proudly, and mind you, I don't want to insult people. I don't want to insult the
Easy now.
idea. No, seriously. I don't want to come across as dismissive towards the notion that one can feel a certain type of patriotism. If you feel that type of way about your country and you want to serve in the military, I'm not going to disrespect that. I won't do that. So people who serve in the military because they feel that way about patriotism, that's cool. But I also think that serving in the military can be quite constructive. You put in 10, 15, 20 years, you go career, you're coming out of it on the other side, with some pretty good benefits for the rest of your life. And so, constructively speaking, I don't think that it's the worst thing in the world to opt into, even if you're not thinking about it along those patriotic lines. But for her to say this, you have to understand her past. And if you understand her past, it can inform you on where these comments are coming from. I don't think it has anything to do with the military, the government, or being anti or pro American. I think this comes from her desire to sort of continue to throw water over the gasoline lit fire of her past because it continuously comes back to haunt her and she wants to get rid of it. She's a former she's a former sex worker. She's a former born star, right? And like I said before, she got out of the game and she tried to pivot to hosting sports podcasts and doing relationship podcasts. The problem is no one wants to let her live. No one wants to, like, allow her to move past the fact that she used to do these movies. They keep bringing it up and keep bringing it up and keep bringing it up. And it's a sore spot for her. So, what is one way to attempt to try and alleviate that and make it better for herself? Well, she can sort of backhandedly paint the narrative that there are worse things in the world to do than being an actual sex worker. And what is, in her opinion, because she was teed up the question, what is one of those things that in her opinion is actually worse than being a sex worker, which she is into perpetuity embarrassed by and is constantly reminded of serving in the military. And in my opinion, the weak analogy that you're selling your body to the government, to me, it doesn't fly, because like I said, on the back end of serving in the military, you come out of it pretty set for life. Now, granted, that is assuming that you can determine that the price that you paid for your service was worth it in terms of
Right.
physical costs and mental
Right.
costs.
Right.
But assuming that it was, and that you come out of it relatively unscathed, I don't see it being worse than being a sex worker. But here's the thing with people like her. She, very much like a lot of these other people who we talk about whenever we broach these kinds of topics up, whenever we bring these kinds of topics up on this channel, she wants to live in a world in which being a sex worker does not come with maintaining a scarlet letter for the rest of your life. Right now, we are still living in a society where, even though it's changing, unfortunately, if that was what you did for a living to a certain extent, or if that was your past, it comes along with a few red flags and a few rolled eyes, doing that kind of stuff, being a sex worker. Now, like I have said many times on this channel when we have discussed other topics, we are slowly but surely inching towards living in a society in which we view sex work as just a job, a profession, whatever. It holds the same amount of credibility, esteem, sophisticatedness, whatever word you want to use, as any other profession. We want to deconstruct the way that we have always thought about that kind of stuff, so that we just kind of look at it in the liberal sense of, it's not a really a big deal. Who cares if she used to, do those kinds of movies? It is what it is. If we were living in that world currently, it would benefit her, because she'd be able to go on to being a sportscaster or a relationship podcaster without having to deal with people constantly bringing up the fact that she used to do those movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like this for her is another roundabout attempt to try and take the air out of the argument that she shouldn't be paid attention to because she used to do those kinds of flicks, because she used to do that kind of work, because she used to do those kinds of movies. That's the only reason why she talks like this. Like every like once a year or so, she finds herself publicly trying to figure out a clever way to make people understand and be sympathetic towards the fact that she used to do adult films, because people don't want to let her live it down. In my opinion, nor should they. You made that choice. It is what it is. You want to say you got bamboozled at this point? Hey, man, you did it. You did the handful of movies. You got swindled. You didn't make your money. Yeah, America is the land of second chances, so to speak, but people are going to bring that stuff up for now. Maybe in 10, 15 years when prostitution is legal, which is a prediction that I have made before and I stand by, people won't care as much. But for now, people are still going to bring that up, because that's just one of those things where if that's what you did for an extended period of time, depending on what your next career path is or whatever it is that you're trying to get into, people aren't going to extend you that benefit of the doubt. They're going to be like, this chick used to be getting bust down in front of a camera for money all day, every day. And so I think that this is her attempt to try and take some of the air out of the balloon on that, because she's tired, I would imagine, of dealing with the fact that every time she wants to try something, she's hit with the stigma of being a former adult film star. So really, to me, this has nothing to do with any of her philosophies on government, military, Americanism, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think that this is another veiled attempt on her part to sort of administer a Jedi mind trick to get people to stop thinking about the fact that she used to do these movies. And she feels as though a good way to attempt to do that is to make it seem like there are worse things in the world than what she used to do. And I guess in her mind, she was able to make a connection between one of those worst things in the world to do being serving in the military or the armed forces. I don't buy it. I think that it's personally, I think that that's BS. Um, but this is what happens when you are trying to deconstruct everything. And she's just another one of these legions of people who are on the front lines trying to deconstruct the way that we think about certain things, one of those being sex work. Will it work at the end of the day for her? I don't think so. I think the ship has sailed on her. She's going to have to live with this come hell or high water. But I do think that that is what she is trying to do.
I mean, yeah, I think it's all in her own mind because that damn sure ain't fooling me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess it's part of. If so, it might be part of the psychosis of that. That she thinks that this will help the cause, and it doesn't. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's clearly a bad. That's what I'm saying. It's clearly a bad thing to compare to. You just don't go around doing that. Now, military stuff to me, honestly, is like religion, like a religious topic. It's like, hey, it's each their own. There's people that's very passionate about patriotism, being in the military, the veterans. So, that's not something you go around playing with. And so for her to do that on Veterans Day or whatever, it's like, come on, man, like, what's that about? And so that's why I was thinking it was just more or less an angle of just her wanting to be viral or just attention, like most
She
of these.
wants that too. She wants
Yeah,
that too. It's all of the above because she is
yeah,
certainly an attention seeker by easily. Yeah.
yeah. So this situation here, cancel culture reaching adult film stars. I gotta say that she'll be one of the first to breach that category. I'm pretty sure there's others, but you know, I guess in this new generation of adult film stars. But I think it's all in vain. She will forever remain online somewhere.
Hmm.
They can try to purge the internet. People still got them in hard drives. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
one thing about adult content, I knew somebody that was trying to launch a legitimate website back in the early 90s. Man, not early 90s, in the early 2000s. A legitimate website, a legitimate message board where people were just coming around and talking on some regular stuff. You couldn't stop. Then this wasn't bots. This was humans coming in flooding the room with adult content. It got to it was so pervasive. It was like, why are you choosing this message board? Just go somewhere else with this weird stuff. And they were just doing it anyway. So my thing is that there's people that have these things, so they can try purging the internet if they want. It'll be back online later on that afternoon. It's like those things in movies. You cut it and it just multiplies and they just both start running. You're not going to get that stuff off. So, and that's generally the path of most adult film stars. Back in my day when I was watching too much, I was still in a space where I was like, oh man, she stopped doing stuff. Hey, what's going? Wait, where that? Where's she gone? I guess she came to her senses. I guess she came to. They all come to their senses at some point. They get their run. They get ran through, and then they go, hey, this is not it. And then they end up leaving. So her career was honestly no different in that regard. But the part that was different was the fact that she was like actually going viral for just being her. And for what reasons, who knows? But with all that stuff aside, it's not like she's really going to get canceled. I mean, who's going to care about this? I mean, I'm sure veterans are mad. Even that dude that looked like Consequence that was sitting in his Humvee was taken aback by that. But he'll still turn on whatever website and grab the lotion. So people aren't really going to be mad at Mia Khalifa. Let's be honest. There's all the people that really are like the guys aren't really going to be mad at her. Yeah, I mean, women will probably be mad, But the guys, they'll be like, come on, get out of here with your dumb takes. And they'll be right back at it if they were a fan. And if they weren't a fan, they'll probably go searching her stuff now. So the point is, she's not gonna get canceled. This is all about a bunch of hoopla, and she knows that for the most part. That's why she's digging into it and leaning into it. And so have this and put this in your rumor mills. So that's how these people operate, and that's paychecks for them. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with all of that. She doesn't move the needle enough. She's not nearly important enough to actually get canceled. Because in order to get canceled, you have to have some sort of impact on the culture that is of a particular substantiation. She lacks that. She was just some random chick who had her 30 minutes of fame getting bust down in a few movies on the internet like 10 years ago. Other than that, she was more known for showing up at college football games wearing almost nothing, and then trying to parlay that into being a sports commentator on the internet on podcasts. To which, the response is, who the hell cares what her opinion on sports is? Um, so she just doesn't move the needle enough. But I do think that the observation that one can surmise from this type of stuff is this is another indication of how there is a significant element within, I would say Western culture of an attempt to try and deconstruct how we think about things like sex work. So she's an agent of this cause. She's one of these. She's an agent of one of these causes because said deconstruction would only benefit her because she wants to move past it. She just knows she can't. So let me try to figure out ways to make it seem as though what I was doing isn't really a big deal. It's not, man. Have you ever thought about this? Think about it, man. Think about it, man. In the military, man, you selling your body to the feds, man. That's worse than anything I ever did. Like she sounds like one of those street philosophers on the corner who gonna kick that game to you, but then ask you for $5 at the end of the speech.
All right.
So that they can go bump a cigarette or a Colt 45 or something that they need to get them through the night. She sounds like a slick oil salesman. And that's the thing about it is you just have to ignore these agents. We should not ever live in a world where we are so desensitized to the idea of sex work that we can just view it as a regular job. I'm sorry, but that is never a world that we should live in. I don't give a damn what anybody thinks about this stuff. I don't give a shit how liberal you are. That is not a world that we need to be living in. And people like her are an agent towards this kind of stuff because they know they messed up. They know they can't reconcile it. So how can they fix it? Or they can just come up with all of these weird analogous ways to make us think that there's worse things. It's not going to fly. I think it's a weak attempt. She needs to go sit her ass down somewhere because I don't think it's going to fly. But I do get where I do not get where she's coming from, but I know what she was trying to do. I definitely know what she was trying to do.
Yeah, we peep gang.
Yeah.
Right,
shouts out to Rock Major, member of the community. Came in the chat. He said, "Yes, sir. The best YouTube. Always deliver hot topics." Appreciate that, bro.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
But yeah, shouts out to former viral adult film chick Mia Khalifa. Good luck with that. I hope you figure out the best way to get people to respect you someday. But I don't think it's gonna happen today, man. I'm sorry.
Nah, she gonna go back.
Yeah, she should. To be honest with you, that's probably her best option.
Bro, they always go back to the streets, bro. They can't help it.
She probably should go. Like, realistically, she should go back. If I was advising her, I'd tell her to go back.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Good luck, ma'am.
Good luck.